Hello again. I'm back with, well, potentially another card, but a bit of an experiment. I do love making cards, but I also love other paper craft activities as well. And I do like a bit of an experiment. So from the garden, I have got various leaves that have fallen. So I haven't picked them off the tree. They're already fallen ones. Different sizes. Different colours. That's from the Virginia Creeper. These look like beach leaves. So I thought I might have a go a bit of eco printing. And what I'm going to do is sandwich them between two pieces of card, and I should get a print on each side and run them through my Big Shot Plus. Now, because the Big Shot Plus is so big, I can't bring it here. I have to do it off screen. But obviously I will show you my results. Okay, I'm back, and this is literally comes straight out of my Big Shot. So let's remove that. As you can see, I have layered some scrap paper in between, so just absorbs the juices if any leak out. See a bit of colours come out, so that's gone onto my scrap. So let's see what we've got. So that's that side. Not a lot showing, but a little bit. You can see, especially these Virginia Creeper leaves. And let's see what we got on this side. So these ones give you really clear colouring, and those ones, it's a real subtle look. Now you can change these by using different mordants. A mordant is something that will fix your colour. So when you're doing eco dyeing of fabric, for example, you would use a mordant in order to fix the colour so that when it's washed it doesn't rinse out in the same way it would if you didn't use a mordant. And you can use mordants on card and just sort of brush it on like a, you know, painting on water, as it were, and that can then affect the colours that you get with these. So let's give that a little try. Some rust water here, which is 1:1 water and white vinegar and rusty nails, and just stick them in together for probably, oh, I can smell the vinegar, sorry. Stick them in together for maybe a... Right, it's still fairly strong, but I've watered it down with some just plain tap water. And then all I'm going to do is run my brush across. And when it mixes with the tannins in the leaves, it will change the colour. It also changes the colour of your card. Now I'm smoothing it out, but that said, you don't need to, because you can leave it to pool and create different colours. These sorts of things you can use. I've used them to make gift cards, you know, blank gift cards to give to people to use as thank you notes and that sort of thing. Or just, you know, snail mail. And then you can just do some bit of splotching on of the colour. So it started to show the colours. So these have changed colour, not quite as pinky, they're more purpley now. I don't know whether that picks up on the camera or not. And the shape of the leaves showing a little bit more. Some leaves are better than others for doing this, by the way, but it's quite an interesting one. So that one then can be left to dry. Then I've also got a copper mordant, so we'll give that one a try. I have to say this is not my idea. I've got to tell you, the lady who came up with it is Sasibo, not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but what I'll do is I'll put a note under the video with her link to her YouTube channel, because she's amazing. She did all sorts of experiments. You can do the same thing on fabric, running it through the Big Shot. There are other ways of doing eco dyeing with heat and boiling and so on and so forth, but this one to me seemed much easier and quicker. Right, I'm back again with the copper mordant, and we'll give that one a try. I haven't tried this before. I've done the rust water before, but I haven't tried the copper mordant on. So we'll find out together what it does. Well, that's interesting. Look, it is changing the colour. Well, that's rather nice, actually. I'll give you the recipe in a minute for the... Sorry, I'm just a bit fascinated, so recipe will have to wait a minute while I just have a bit of a play. Look at the colour changing. Look at that. Oh, that's lovely. I hope it's picking up on camera. I am in shot, aren't I? Yes. Nice. You can really see it on the Virginia Creeper one. And this one is not having quite so much effect, although the colour is different, you can see. Let's slap some more on there. Interesting. The colours of this is absolutely beautiful. Another gift from nature, you know. So to make the copper mordant, what you need is white vinegar. Obviously I put it into my little jar with some copper. So be that bits of old copper pipe, for example. You know, when plumbers do copper pipe work, they often have a bit that they've pinched off the end where it's a bit long and they've adjusted. So anything, just scrap copper. I have used copper from old wiring that's been taken out. So any bits of copper that you happen to have, then you could use that. You could use coins. I have tried using copper coins from the UK, but I didn't have a lot of success. That didn't really work. I needed to use some copper pipe or bits of other copper that I found. So that's the copper mordant. So that is literally white vinegar and copper. It takes longer to happen. It takes probably about 3 months for that to become that lovely blue colour. So that's that one. The rust water is much quicker. That one is 1:1 water and vinegar. So whatever quantity of water you put in, you put the same quantity of white vinegar, and then just chuck in some rusty nails and leave that maybe a week, and you've got rust water. It does smell. Probably best used in a well ventilated space. If you have any, sensitive skin, it's probably better to use gloves rather than not. I'm not actually particularly touching it. I'm using my paintbrush, so I'm kind of fine. This now actually is going rather a nice, interesting shade of blue. So it's gone from that sort of pinky colour through to purple, and now looks rather more blue. Very interesting. So you could make whatever sort of shape and arrangement you want. Nothing to stop you creating like a little wreath shape or something like that. I haven't got enough of these small ones, but you know, if you carried on going round, you could, and then just lay those on your piece of card and run it through. I haven't tried them a second time. Maybe I should do that. I've got some more card here ready to go, so I was going to try this one, and maybe I should. So that one I haven't used yet. That one I haven't used yet. These two I have. Maybe I'll make a bit of a design and see what happens. And what I'm also doing is putting the leaves the same way up. So you can pick up the ridges. So that's the underside of the leaf, and that's the top side. So for this one, I've got the top side of the leaves upwards. On this side, I've got the underside upwards. And we'll just see how that goes as well. Just thinking that if I move them and separate them out, I can do little panels if I want to. Right, so smooth side down, and I'm going to run those through and come back in a minute. I'm back again. Right, I haven't peeked. I didn't cheat. So let's see what we've got. Oops. So these ones that I've used for the second time, as you would imagine, there's a lot less come out of them. That one that was a bit crumply looking, that one produced a bit. And actually I've got more on this side. So which way up you have your leaves does make a difference. So that was the top. So this was the underneath side, and that's the top. And then these were the other way about. I can see the indentation. Can't see a lot of patterning. There's a little bit, and there's a bit from this. There's more on this side, and a little bit more on this side. So that one was quite interesting. So this was the that side. So it's got lots of different colours within it, and some of them coming out there. Nice. If you are in a part of the world where you're not in autumn now, or you're looking at this and it's spring, or you don't have seasons, or you know, whatever, if you use fresh leaves rather than ones that are starting to dry, you can do it, absolutely, but you will get a lot more sap out of them. So you will have spreading of your pattern, because the juices will leak out. That will also then affect your plates. If I show you the scrap paper I've used here, there's very little come out, but I have done it at different times of the year, and you get loads squirting out. So just be aware that you might need to be mopping that up and being ready for it. Having some paper towel could be quite handy to bear that one in mind. But if you're using the autumnal leaves, then they're quite good at sort of, because they're drying out already. So let's see. I'm just going to quickly show you these again. So those are not quite dry, but not far off. So these are very definitely blue. These are quite pretty and look almost like slightly like fresh leaves, with the brown and the greens and blues. Slightly duck egg blue, as is this now because of the copper mordant, but quite effective. And then here's our rust, and it depends how strong your rust water is as to how rusty it is. You can end up with quite dark rust colour, and then these go very black. These have gone quite black around the edge now. Or if you've got lighter rust water, then you can end up with just a sort of a creamy background, but quite often still the black. And it does depend on the leaves you use. So now it's decision time as to which way I want to go with these. I might go rust on this one because this is very pale, and I think adding the rust might make that go blacker and therefore more defined and visible. So I'll go copper on this one. So since I've been using my copper most recently, let's do the copper first. See what happens. What happens when I do that? So just making sure I was recording. So we've got some colour coming. Oh, now look, I put a stripe through there so you can see a difference in colour. I hope you can pick that up on the... Do you know what? This is a bit like, you know, with embossing, how that never gets boring. Heat embossing, that is. Oh, this is a bit like that. It's great. As long as you don't mind the smell of a bit of vinegar. Got some dried up copper water there. I wonder if that would work. Let's try. Waste not, want not. What happens? Sometimes it takes a minute to react. Sorry, my husband walked in at the wrong moment. Right, let's just finish this off. It's quite a fabulous sort of ochre sort of colour on it in its own right, the rust water, when it's kind of strong like I've got. Just drop a bit more onto that leaf there. This one's starting to show. But not everyone will be a success, so it's just a question of try it and see what happens. See how it works. If it works successfully, you can do it again. If it doesn't, move on to a different leaf. I'm going to let that dry and see how it goes. These would be great for anybody who likes journaling, junk journaling, that sort of thing. That would be good fun. Right, lid on. I shall stop recording. And we'll let that dry and see how it comes out, and I will come back in a little while. I'm back again at the moment with some more eco printing. It's another day, but some of the ones that I did before I wasn't overly impressed with. So this one I've reprinted, I folded it in half and reprinted with another type of leaf over the top to see if I ended up with something that looked a little bit better, and I think I have. I wasn't sure whether it would react with the rust water or whether I'd need to repaint the rust water, but actually I might leave it and see what colour we end up with once it's kind of dried and settled in. So that's that one. Then I did some fresh ones with some different leaves. So I've left these for a while just sitting. So I ran them through my Big Shot Plus several times, and then I've just left them sitting under some books actually. So these little leaves are common hazelnut or cobnut leaves. This one, as you can see, is a fern. That does make a pretty pattern. And this is some of my Virginia Creeper, slightly greener version this time around. Get rid of the leaves, pull the manky bits off. Fingernail or, you know, dry, another toothbrush job, I suppose. So that's two sides of that one. So that's quite interesting and nice to have different leaves on there actually. One of the things I was thinking about doing is folding them in half, so like this one, and making little notebooks as a little gift at Christmas time. So that's sort of what's in my head, as well as possibly card making as well. So that's that one and that one. And then this one, can't remember, but we'll open up and see. Ooh. It's stuck. Oh, that was just the hazelnut leaves. That's quite pretty, isn't it, with the green coming out on that, because they've not gone brown yet. That's quite nice. Let's see what we've got underneath. I might have left them on here too long. Oh no, oh, okay. Get the stalk and then they peel off quite nicely. And this one, oh, this was a reprint. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? That sort of layering of those two, that's quite good. Interesting. So the hazelnut ones on here gone quite, so the background to this, or the overpaint, the mordant I used was the copper, so that does seem to have reacted. That is interesting. Right, so let's take these off. I'm just going to try just putting some water across and see if that reignites the rust water. I'm going to have to stop recording in a second because my husband's going to come bursting in. He's just been to the shop. It hasn't yet. I will come back. Now, it's several days later, and I'm just going to do a quick run through. I apologise now that I have been recording this over several days, so I've completely forgotten how far I got. I will try to avoid too much repetition, and there might end up being a part 2 to this because I can't fit everything in, and I don't want my video to be too long for you, so it would be better to do some more finished products on another video, I think. But you can let me know what you think about that in the comments. So first of all, quick run through. So these are all fully dried now. We've got some quite nice delicate colouring. Some stayed green. I haven't put any mordant on this one. This is the opposite. Now this was interesting. I loved the look of this. If you see on this leaf, so this is the front, you know, they were panels together like that. The leaf obviously folded over, and so on that side you see the sort of folded over bit, and on this side you just get that line where obviously it was folded underneath, and so you don't see it. I just thought that was really interesting. But I you know, these little things please little minds, as the saying goes. That was the one that had a second layer of the rust water, sorry. And it didn't seem to react much more than it already had done, which was, again, another interesting one. Often on the Dragoner from Sasebo's film, she was saying that the hazelnut ones responded really well to the rust water, but I, on this occasion, didn't find that. But I didn't do all of them, so, you know, and it probably depends just at what point of coming off the tree the leaves are, so I don't know. This one's had some copper mordant on it, so there's that green, sort of duck egg blue really to it. Same for that one, and this one I overprinted, so we've got one leaf there, and then we've got another one that's sort of coming over the top. That was quite interesting. Those were the two that were together, other way up. Still some bits on there. Again, that green has stayed, and I haven't put any mordant on those at all. This one, I think that was the other half to that one. Again, and now these ones were, I did these off camera, but these were hydrangea leaves, which are just turning, so there's some pinkiness on them, and green, so that gives a lovely, interesting colour. That one was the probably the top side of the leaf, and this was the underside, I think. So you get a lovely, pretty colours come out of those. That was some more of the Virginia Creeper, and this was the one that I over printed with rust water on the first layer, and then these leaves, which I think were elder, and I reprinted, so those were front and back because I printed them that way round. So that's those. Now, what I decided I'd do, and forgot to record this, so let me show you what dye I used. Got this at Kenilworth from Miser Print. It's an Alexandra Renka, and it's so pretty. Now, what's it called? Berry Branches, it's called. Let's just move this out of the way for a second. So that was my print. These were the Virginia Creeper. I haven't used any mordant on there because actually I just loved the colour and I thought it was so pretty I didn't want to spoil it. There was a bit of staining on the underside, so what I've done is I've just glued some finish card, stiff paper, whichever way you want to think of it. The two together, it makes quite a substantial notebook covering. So what I did was I'd folded this one in half. I cut this slightly bigger than I needed. I put glue on the inside of just the front part and stuck that down and really made sure I'd gone into the folded corner. Once I was happy it was all stuck down, and using a bone folder or some such to do that is very helpful. Then I put glue all over the other side and stuck that side down, and then I just trimmed it to fit. Now what I do like to do is use a corner rounder. Now if you've got one, then fine. If you don't have one, then you could always use my trick of the corners and cut at an angle. You could just literally trim with a pair of scissors, lay that one underneath and then trim that one to the same, and then do the others. So there are lots of different options. I'm going to just round my corners even. I will go medium, I think. But the only thing is that I've got really quite a thick layer. Oh, hecky pecky. Oh, there we are, we've done it. Because I've got two layers, I've got quite a lot going on there. Ooh, there we are. But it does make really nice edge corners to your little notebook. And then these little notebooks will make nice little gifts for Christmas, or indeed any other time of the year when you need a gift. Oh, sorry about the sound effects. Right, there we are. So those corners are rounded. And I also went ahead and got my paper ready to go inside. I have used, if I could find it, here we are. I have used just ordinary copy paper. Decide how many pages you want and cut them just so that they're a little bit smaller than your booklet. Obviously, if you are doing rounded corners, you want them slightly smaller as well, but you just measure up and see what fits. So those are going to go in there, and I'm just going to push them into the fold of the outside, and when I'm happy that they're right in the fold and that I've got equal distance on each end of my spine, as it were, so push that one in and then clip it. These are just dressmaking clips. You can use any clips, paper clips, bulldog clips, for, you know, whatever. And then just make sure you've got the same sort of amount on each side, and just checking that it's nice and straight. There we are. Now, I really liked this, but decided that it was just a little bit plain. So there are loads of options that you could use to make it look a little more interesting. But I decided, as I say, to use the Alexandra Renka dies because I'd bought them, and I thought, well, why not? So I picked out some sympathetic colours. These markers were from the lovely Julie, who came to Kenilworth, and she very sweetly heard me say on the video that I don't have a lot of alcohol markers, and bless her heart, she gave me an absolute stash of them, and I was absolutely delighted. So I picked out 2 colours for the stems and 2 colours for the little berries, and I'm leaving the rest of them white. They are, now I'm not sure whether this is Touch Gaze, whether that's a Gaze or whether that's a YU. So U's would be, I guess, how you'd say it. So it's either or. Whatever markers you've got, you could use. Just pick out 2 for your stems, and then however many you want for your berries. So I coloured my stems, and I just picked out sympathetic colours to go with the leaves. So that's those. So thank you, Julie. That's so lovely of you. Very generous. And I felt like a proper crafter, because Christine Stokes always has her little chart, doesn't she, of, oh, now I feel like a proper crafter. Not that I've got a chart as fancy as Christine's, but I did do this with them all and swatched them all, so I know what number they are and what colour they are. Thought, oh, getting quite grown up being crafter now. So I thought, right, let's get those stuck on. I'm not going to layer them up in any way, because obviously this is a notebook, and when you're writing on this side, you don't want it to be too lumpy bumpy, but I thought we'd get away with a little bit of something. So I'm going to put these on here with a little bit of glue, and a few of the little dots, oh surprise, surprise, fell out, so I kept them on a piece of temporary tape. So I'm going to stick those down and try and avoid making too much of a mess of gluing them. So just over we go, and splodge some glue on without disrupting the berries from where they are sitting. Uh-oh. Knocked one off already. Okay, pokey tool. Let's put that on the tape before I lose it. Oh, there had to be some disaster with a dot, didn't there? Goodness me, wouldn't be one of my videos without. Okay. Tweezers. And somewhere around there, perhaps. Something like that. And if I do this one, and go something like that. Okay, so let's glue that one. I'm just while I'm gluing, very delighted that I've got to 1,800 subscribers, which is absolutely wonderful. So my next little target is 2,000. So if you know anybody who'd be interested in seeing any of my videos, then I'd be really thrilled to bits if you would share any of my videos, links and what have you. Then I would be delighted if you wouldn't mind doing that to help me get to my next little target. So, but thank you so much to all you people who've subscribed and been watching my videos. Can't tell you how delighted I am about it. Right, so there we are. Oh, here's our tricky bit. Right, so let's just go for it. Let's put a bit of glue, 1, 2 in there. Picky uppy thing, just warm it up a little bit. This is a wax one, so it just needs a bit of warming to help it to work. There we go. There's another one there. Oh, another one there, I've found it. Uh-oh, I've just heard my front door go. Somebody's going to come in. Bear with me a moment. Ah! There it is. And one more. Look at that! Did it without a disaster. Amazing. Right, so I've stuck those down and then I decided they looked a little bit... Let's take those off. Just felt like I was missing something. So I found some little leaves and thought, I wonder if those might just finish it off. And I think somehow or other, something like that perhaps, and I think that does just finish it off for me. So I've used the same colours. This one I'm just going to blend a little bit more the darker colour into the lighter colour. And I think that just finishes that off a little bit better. We've got a bit more interest now. The colours pick up in here and that's our front cover done. So lid on there, that out of the way, that out of the way. So now we need to just push these, having faffed about with it. So I am just going to eyeball it, just making sure they're pushed in and also even there. And then I'm going to push a hole through. Just watch your fingers, obviously, because you've got something sharp going through, but I'm just going to push through there, like that. And then I shall go about halfway between there and there, roughly, and push through there. And same again on this side. halfway and push through there. That's it. So we've got 3 holes. We're just going to do a little 3-hole pamphlet stitch. This is, I just bought it from Amazon, and it's a waxed thread, just a neutral colour. And then you've got a couple of options with this. So this is just large-eyed needle. Push through, and you can either go inside to out or the other way. So if you want to tie a little bow, say on the outside, then you can. I'm just going to do it on the inside, but mine will just be a knot. I've actually probably got rather a large needle, and I've just probably just made a bit of a hash of the outside of that, but don't need as much thread as that. I should pull it back through. So inside to the out, then come up to the top one and go back in. Yeah, definitely got the wrong size needle here, but never mind, it shows you the principle. So this time we're going to go all the way down to the bottom there. Just line up, make sure you're lined up with the holes. That's it. So then you're going to make sure that this is nice and tight. So pull your 2 ends, and then you're going to go back in there alongside your other one, but don't split the thread. And really we want to end up with one on this side of the central thread and one on the other side of it. So I'll push it through and then we'll tighten it up. Now I only need to tie a knot, so I don't need to waste all of that. Unclip those, and what I'm just going to do is pull that, no, pull in the wrong one, that one. Pull that back, and then I'm not wasting any of my thread. So pull that out, and then just give it a good tug to make sure it's nice and tight, nice and neat on there. So tie your first tie and then back again the other way, and that should give you a nice secure knot. There we are. Chop the ends off. There we are, all done. And then you've got a nice little, pretty little notebook with some pages. You can put as many pages in as you want. The only thing I'd caution you about is you don't want too many, because obviously once they are folded, you just got to make sure they're lining up. So just be aware of that. But otherwise, there we are. A little gift, handmade, leaves from the garden, and a little die cut just to jazz it up a little bit, lined inside, and there we are. There are other ways that you can secure these, so I will try to do a quick part 2 video where we do a different one, and I'll show you different ways that you could attach your pages inside. Anyway, thank you for bearing with me. It's been a very stoppy-starty video from my point of view. By the time I've edited it for you, it should hopefully flow. Fingers crossed anyway. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. As I say, my next little goal is 2,000 subscribers, which would be amazing. So thank you for your help and support at this stage, and do join me again next time around, and take care and see you soon. Bye bye.